Hey, have you heard of the post-clearance audit?
No, what's that?
It is a process where customs verifies the accuracy of declarations after goods have been released. They check if the value, origin, and classification of goods are declared correctly and if the amount of revenue legally due has been identified and collected.
Oh, that sounds important. What else do they do?
Well, PCA also assures that customs declarations have been completed in compliance with customs legal requirements, as well as other requirements under any other law.
Aha! It also has objectives. Verify the correctness of the value, origin, and classification of goods, collect revenue, ensure proper declaration of goods, liable to import or export controls, observe condition of specific approvals and authorizations, and facilitate international trade movements of compliant traders.
And did you know that PCA has enormous benefits? Facilitating compliant trade, reducing border controls, providing better information on traders' businesses, allowing for easier risk assessment, promoting voluntary compliance, identifying suspected fraudulent activities, and enabling effective deployment of customs resources.
Yes, amazing, right? With regard to that, Leah, there are 3 types of audit: comprehensive audit, focused audit, post-importation transaction-based audit.
Just like a lesson, PCA has its scope and coverage. The scope and coverage of PCA, namely which persons may be subject to an audit, should be clearly defined in customs laws and regulations. Potentially, all businesses involved in the import and/or export of goods or the receipt, storage, manufacture, and delivery of goods subject to customs controls may be audited.
In PCA, we have a different person that we can talk to, and they have the authority, powers, and obligations as they are entitled as customs officers.
And the obligations and rights of auditees.
We have 2 types of organizational structure: centralized audit, decentralized audit.
We have 4 segmentation of traders: Type 1 traders, Type 2 traders, Type 3 traders, and Type 4 traders. Additionally, we have the outline of the risk management process of PCA. There are 5 things to consider. First, establishing the context. Risk assessment using risk management techniques such as strategic risk management and tactical risk management. Under risk assessment is risk identification, risk analysis, risk evaluation, and prioritization.
The third one is risk treatment. It were identified as being monitored by administration, should be treated in order to reduce the likelihood or consequences of the risk. Fourth one, recording, communication, and consultation. Fifth, monitoring and review.
The main thought is that PCA is not an isolated process but is linked to other relevant functions within the customs organization. Liaising with other or foreign customs units and tax departments is necessary for disputes. The appropriate enforcement unit will be alerted if suspected fraud is discovered during the audit. If legal issues arise, the auditor may seek advice from the customs legal department.
Leah, have you also heard about the recent changes in the Bureau of Customs post-clearance audit function?
Yes, I have. It is about CMC number 179-2017, which is about transferring the post-clearance audit function from the DOF-FIU to the BOC, and the CMO 32-2017 that is about reactivating the post-clearance audit group of the BOC.
That's right. The PCAG will be headed by an assistant commissioner appointed by the President upon recommendation of the Commissioner of Customs through the Secretary of Finance. The TIRAO and CAO will be the operating units of PCAG.
The TIRAO will be responsible for reviewing trade and data to determine compliance markers of the industry and developing a risk-based management system for profiling and identifying potential priority audit candidates, Conversely, the CAO will prepare the audit work plan, conduct the audit examination, and submit the required report on audit findings.
Correct. The DOF-FIU will be renamed the Financial Analytics and Intelligence Unit. Its primary function will be to act as the analytic data unit of DOF for revenue management, review matters that may be fiscally adverse to the government, and provide recommendations to the Secretary of Finance on policies and actions to be taken. PCA allows the Bureau to audit records related to goods declaration within 3 years. Records must be kept to ensure compliance with regulatory obligations. An Assistant Commissioner manages PCAG and consists of 2 units, Trade Information and Risk Analysis and Compliance Assessment Office.
Importers, customs brokers, other parties and locators must maintain records for 3 years. Criteria for selecting firms to be audited include compliance track records and risk to revenue. The audit procedures include profiling, audit notification, audit plan, the conduct of the audit proper, and a demand letter to pay the deficiency. The Commissioner can obtain information and issue summons, but can't inquire into bank deposits. But who may avail the PDP? Definitely the importers.
The following shall not be qualified for the PDP.
Instead of penalties in their negligence, there are penalties that shall be imposed on approved applications for PDP.
PCAG will verify the completeness of the PDP application form and supporting documents. If the application is incomplete, it will be disapproved. The audit team will then verify the accuracy of the deficiency duties and tax computation, determine if all errors are fully disclosed, and complete the verification approval or denial of the PDP application within 90 calendar days. If there are findings of fraud or other material inaccuracies, mistakes, errors, or violations committed, the PCAG will recommend a formal and full audit to the Commissioner.
In all cases, the Bureau shall accept the tender of payment whether the prior disclosure application is approved or denied by the Commissioner. Any request for a waiver penalties, interest, fine, or surcharge made by the importer shall be subject to the final approval of the Secretary of Finance.
There is a 20% per annum counted from the date of final assessment and interest on deficiency duties, taxes, and other charges, plus fine or penalty to be imposed and the following.
In remedies of the importer, when the request for reconsideration and reinvestigation is denied by the Commissioner in whole or in part, the importer may appeal such denial to the Court of Tax Appeals within 30 days from the receipt of the adverse ruling or decision of the Commissioner.
Penalties are imposed for failure to keep and maintain the prescribed records, for denying authorized customs officers access to required records, including suspension or cancellation of accreditation as importer or broker, punishment for contempt from the proper court, reassessment of importation subject to audit, a surcharge of 20% on the due value of goods for which no records were kept, whole delivery or release of subsequent imported articles, and criminal prosecution punishable by imprisonment of not less than 3 years and 1 day, but not more than 6 years, and a fine of 1 million pesos.
In case of failure to pay correct duties and taxes on imported goods, any person who, after being subjected to post-clearance audit and examination, is found to have incurred deficiencies in duties and taxes paid for imported goods shall be penalized according to 2 degrees of culpability: negligence and fraud.
In case of record to be kept by the Bureau, the PCAG shall keep a database of importer and customs broker profiles, which shall include a record of audit results and the following information and papers.
In case of audit monitoring and record keeping, PCAG, in coordination with the MISTG, shall establish and maintain a real-time case monitoring and control system to ensure that all tasks related to audit operations are completed on time and that approved audit recommendations are properly implemented. For this purpose, PCAG shall maintain a secure database of all audit results and records.
I think all the information we've discussed is sufficient to understand the process of post-clearance audit and prior disclosure program.
I totally agree with you on that, Aiki. But what's now?
Let's pack our bags and better be prepared because we are about to conquer the continuous and exciting path of knowledge. Bye, future LCBs!
Goodbye, LCBs! See you when we are